living in the end times. We actually now were there. And there's something in the psychology of religion that we want to feel that, you know, that specialness, that excitement. It could be tonight. I better start preaching right now. I started preaching as a 15-year-old thinking Jesus could come tonight and it would be people going to hell and I need to help them. I felt so lucky to have been born in the right family, in the right religion, the right denomination, in the right country, and in the right time of history. I was called, and I felt this calling to go out and preach. And I preached from every book of the Bible. And I just was so utterly convinced of the truth of it. And then, of course, it was confirmed. People told me they felt the Spirit. People told me that they felt this. Wow, when I got up to preach, they would get goosebumps. You know, it was like, wow, yes, there's something there. There's a charismatic thing that happens in preaching. And it's a psychological thing. It happens, you know, Joseph Smith must have been like that. Or Muhammad must have been like that. You know, they must have had a way of convincing people with this, whatever it is, psychology of charisma, of a messianic type thing. I didn't consider myself messianic, but I saw results, and people applauded. And of course, in every religion, they like the young people up front. I played the piano, and I sang, and I wrote songs, and I did all that stuff. I thought that you believers would welcome and appreciate someone like me coming to you with the good news. I was that guy on campus with the Bible in my arm, that I had this great thing that all of you really, you were secretly hungering for something and you didn't know it. As soon as you met me, as soon as you heard the words of the Bible, as soon as you heard about Jesus, as soon as you got in touch with it, then your eyes would open and you would go, or else you would feel convicted of your sins, or whatever, you'd feel something. And most of the time, it worked. Very rarely did anybody counter me or say anything critical. Most of the time, people were respectful at least. Oh, here's a man of God or a person speaking the Bible. So there must be some truth, because what do I know? I don't know. This person seems to know something. So if you get up, I tell you, if you want to be an evangelist or a missionary, just do it. Do it with confidence. It doesn't matter the religion. Just get up and do it with confidence. You'll find a huge subset of humanity that will go for it. They're out there. How do you explain the Mormons? They actually went over to England, and they went up to people. I don't know how they did it. They went up to someone on the street and told them the story about the gold tablets and the magic seeing stones in the hat and the angel Moroni and you know, the translation of the ancient papyrus. And then those people went, okay. And then they went to Utah. I mean, that stuff happens. It does happen. When I was a missionary, it happens. You can get up and act that way and speak that way. And I wasn't a phony. I don't know about Joseph Smith. He might have been a phony, but maybe he was a believer. But in any event, he had a good rap going. And Muhammad maybe was sincere in what he was doing. You know, we can't go back and psychoanalyze him, but I do know my own brain. At least I know my own mind that I was sincere. I know that much. And I believed it. And I thought, I'm not going to live long enough. Jesus is going to come soon. The world's going to end. I'm not even going to go to college. I'm not going to be able to get married, have a family. None of that's going to happen because it's going to happen. It could be tonight. It could be. When I was in college, Hal Lindsey, the author of The Late Great Planet Earth, he got up in the late 1960s. He got up and assured us that the second coming of Jesus would be no later than the mid-80s. And I remember thinking, that late? I have to wait till the mid-80s before Jesus comes? He was confident about it. In fact, he's still on TV. He's still doing stuff. Have you seen Hal Lindsey and everything? He's still preaching the end of the world. One of these days, somebody's going to be right. The world's, you know, who knows when, but I considered that I wasn't an obnoxious person. I didn't think I was one of these, you know, fundamentalist right-wing pests. I thought, I have this treasure in earthen vessels, and it's beautiful. And it gives meaning and a purpose, and it gives me a joy, and who would not want that? What's wrong with you skeptics? What's wrong with you? Are you blind? What? Are you sick? What? How come you don't see what's so beautiful about it? It was your lucky day when God directed you to sit next to me on the bus. You didn't know it, but I knew it. All things work together for good, right? The Bible says. I thought, you know, there was no accidents, there's no coincidences. After a little bit of chit-chat, I would talk with you, and then I would say something like, pardon me for saying this, but I can see that you're having some real struggles right now, aren't you? How does he know? You're having some problems with a relationship in your life right now, and it's really bothering you, isn't it? How does he know? But you know, I used to feel like you. I used to feel like my life was empty and it didn't have any meaning, and I was like a ship without a rudder, and what's it all about? Why am I here? Why is there something rather than nothing? How do I know how to do good, or, you know, how do I fight these impulses within me that I know I shouldn't have? You know, all that stuff. But you know what? There's an answer. I found an answer to it, and it's Jesus, and it's the Word of God, and a lot of times people would get teared up and they go, he knows something, you know. So it's that kind of a thing, and it happens a lot. And I'm not surprised that it happens, because there's something in our human psychology that, in fact, a lot of people don't know and don't have answers, and they're wondering, and they haven't put much work and thought into it. And they think other people must have the answers because there's these seminaries and there's these experts out there who've got it all figured out, but what do I know? So my ministry started off in high school. I carried my Bible to school. In fact, I was able to, I was instrumental in my agnostic Spanish teacher, his name was James Edwards, very nice guy, great teacher, becoming a born-again Christian. One day in his classroom we were talking, and then we started a Bible club on school, which was actually illegal. And because the Supreme Court decision had just come down in the early 1960s about religious instruction, the Schempp case. And, but we did it anyway. We called it something else. An advanced literature discussion group, I think is what we called it. And the only literature we discussed was the Bible. So. And I went down into Mexico. I spent about 2 years in Mexico as a missionary, preaching, trying to convert Catholics into Christians. And, which seems funny, but it worked. And it actually is working. Not only is Mexico having a problem with drugs, but a problem with Pentecostalism and fundamentalism. It's just catching on down there. And as a matter of fact, I get to go back to Mexico in November for the first time as a non-Christian. I get to go back in November to D.C. for the first ever Mexico Atheist Conference, which is going to be fun. I'm going to go down there and ask for forgiveness. In fact, that's my title of my talk. I'm going to go down as a former missionary trying the arrogance of it. I mean, the way we American Protestants treated this poor, across the border was this dark, deep country of lost souls that needed the good news of the gospel. And so we raised money and we got teams to go down and fan out and preach, and you know, it was an amazing life. And I thought, well, the world's going to end any minute. We may as well bring one more soul into the kingdom. I went to Azusa Pacific University. It was a college then, and later became a university. Got a degree in religion. I got what amounted to a minor in Greek. And I was an okay student. I was like an A student, but I wasn't really like into that. I thought, what good is this if the world's going to end, right? We may as well get out and preach. And I was every night of the week out somewhere in the church or somewhere preaching the gospel, playing my accordion on park benches or knocking on doors or that kind of active. And more than probably any of my professors at the Christian college were. They were all in the books and stuff, which I guess is okay. But I thought, fine. I took one class in Christian evidences, and you know, the evidences for the resurrection and all that. And I said, great, we already know that's true. Why do we need the evidences? We know it's true in our heart. And I preached. When I graduated, I became an associate pastor of 3 different California churches. One was a Friends Church, which was my wife. We got married. We met in college and got married. My wife's tradition was Friends, which is the modern-day Quakers, if you know what that is. On the West Coast, the Friends are more evangelical than the original Quakers. Richard Nixon came out of the California Friends tradition, and it did him a lot of good. But then I got a call to the ministry to go to an Assembly of God church, which was more in line with my family. We were more charismatic, speaking in tongues and all that. And for 1.5 years, I was pastoring at this Assembly of God church in California. And I'm glad I did that. It was a great experience just sociologically, just to be with those people. They were very sincere people, very sweet people, but way too noisy for my tastes. If you know what I mean, all the yelling and the hollering and slaying the spirit. I used to be the librarian when I was a teenager for Catherine Kuhlman, the big faith healer who used to go once a month to the Shrine Auditorium.